Hello, Capricorn. Thank you so much, you guys, for being here. Okay, Cap. So, law is not justice, truth, and Lady de los Muertos, or the Lady of Death. Law is not justice. This is talking about following along with something even though you know it's not right. But this could also be about being judged by people who don't know you. And I say that because of truth and looking at death and rebirth here, but you being the one to facilitate that once you know what the truth is. This is asking you to kind of take yourself out of the situation and don't allow people or situations to make you question what truth is. And this is about being confident in your own truth as well. But because of law is not justice, this is going along with something that just doesn't feel right. And it may be that somebody else is being judged and you don't think that that's right. And it may be up to you to kind of see the truth and set people straight with Lady of Death. But the falling away of things that are not fair and not just, I think, is what's important. But it's up to you to be able to see the truth in the situation. And if you have been going along with something that just doesn't feel right, this may be you finally understanding, why this is happening or why somebody would want you to continue to do something even though it's not right. But Lady of Death was interesting to me on this one. It's almost like you may be seen as the person that ends that. You're overall the Queen of Wands, very nice. Feeling good, looking good, having passion, nurturing the passions of others, being able to manage what's going on. And absolutely, so no matter what you're dealing with, you're in a really good position with this Queen of Wands. Now, this could be because of somebody, but we'll see here. In the past, Judgment, very nice. So having to look back at things and realizing that maybe there is a different view to be seen. It's going back in order to go forward. Because if you keep the same views over past situations, then you're just going to keep seeing the same things. So this is saying that you rose above that. Had a huge wake-up call, and it may have changed you in a very good way with the Queen of Wands, for sure. In the present, the Queen of Cups, interesting. So I think this is really about you understanding how past situations have made you feel, and you're integrating that in a way where more emotionally aware and not being manipulated emotionally. I kind of see that with the Queen of Cups and Judgment. And, for some of you, you may realize that you were too open emotionally, but something about what's going on in the present moment has still got you in the feels. Are you aware of what belongs to you and what does? Judgment absolutely would say that yes, if I could talk right, that is the case. That you know exactly what emotions belong to you and then what belongs to others. Future conditions, the Page of Cups. So this, I feel like for you, is a renewal in your emotional awareness where you're no longer burdened by things that may have happened before. Only because it's such a huge thing with Judgment, it takes a lot to rise above the things that, you've been seeing repetitively in the past, or anything that was negative in regards to a past situation. And I look at your oracle cards and think, for a lot of you, you're aware of this. And again, you're the one that's going to be ending those patterns and those behaviors. But the Page of Cups, this could be communication, somebody coming through. Right? The minute that you are opened up with your emotions, that may be where this communication comes through. and your passion is ignited with the Queen of Wands, and this may be misjudgment of a person in the past. But either way, with the Page of Cups being in future conditions, this is an opportunity that you can take to feel something without any kind of attachments to it. It's free of baggage. Your best path to follow the Page of Wands. So the pages, I mean, other than communication, and this is a willingness to grab an opportunity. And with the Page of Wands here, we're talking about enthusiasm, taking a new path that you haven't been down before. So with the Queen of Wands, if you're able to manage your actions towards your passion and you're in tune with your emotions, it may be that it's time for something new. It's time for you to really look at grabbing something that makes you excited, but then also makes you feel good. And it may be that you need to be open up to communication, but also being aware of the immature nature of it, right? But I still feel like for you, it's being reignited almost and needing to seize an opportunity to experience something different. Okay, in your environment, the Nine of Wands, in going back to the Queen of Cups and looking at that, it makes sense. This is being defensive. It is resilience and perseverance, absolutely, but there is a need to protect what's important to you. And you may be becoming emotionally aware of that with the Queen of Cups. You also may understand that your emotions may be very sensitive right now. And that's because you've been through a situation where you've had to rise above it with judgment and look at it differently. But being defensive about anything that affects you emotionally, it almost looks like especially with the Queen of Wands, like, I'm good. I know how to take care of myself. But in the background, behind those wands, you're protecting that emotional peace and healing that may be going on right now. But that's coming from a pure place because, again, with judgment, we're rising above it. But it's interesting to me seeing the pages and looking at the Nine of Wands. And again, there's this kind of like being aware of, any immaturity. Your hopes and your fears, the Chariot, wanting things to go in the right direction. But this is the self-control that you have that is what gets the momentum going. For some of you, literally, it's needing to seize the opportunity to move to a different environment. Like, it could literally be hoping that travel plans go well, or that you're able to really understand why you're taking the path that you are and being able to do it successfully. With the Chariot, it's always willpower and self-control and getting those two opposing forces in the right direction. But, again, like hoping that you can move away, move on, and doing so under your own volition. I don't know where that's coming from. And then coming out the Nine of Swords. Why? So I wonder if with this communication of the Page of Cups, if it doesn't like trigger those kinds of thoughts that may like ignite your passion, right? And this is about being in control of that, so that you're not following a path that, leads you down to the same places that you've had to rise above from before. Because I'm looking at the Nine of Swords and we're talking about, first of all, painful thoughts. But I feel like it's being triggered by this Page of Cups. So absolutely, there's an opportunity here for you to feel something different. And that doesn't mean that you have to accept an offer that is going to move you in a place of looking back at past situations that, you've gotten huge wake-up calls from. It's almost like, I get it. I see the truth. I'm aware. I see things differently. And I'm ready to move on from this. But immediately, as soon as anything close to what you've experienced in the past comes through, it triggers this part of your mind where you're like, yeah, I remember that shit. And it's not good. And then looking at the Nine of Wands in your environment, this is protection of self, protection of your emotions. But, I keep going back to your advice. Sorry, guys. This is needing to seize that opportunity to take a different path. And that is what you're hoping for. The Hangman. The Two of Pentacles. Okay. And then the Three of Wands. Yeah. So whatever this Page of Cups is in future conditions, whether this is a person who is coming to you and appealing to your empathy, this may be a trigger for you where you're going to want to hold off here because you haven't really fully integrated a new perspective. Now, things may have been on hold for you for a while you've been trying to deal with and look at a past situation differently. But with the Two of Coins, it's still in play, which would explain why with the Nine of Wands, there's this protection, this need to protect and defend. And that's defending you and your emotions. But for some reason, this situation, I think for you, it keeps coming up, and this may be the decision that you need to make on whether or not you do something with it or not. But the Three of Wands to me, and looking at these two, I think you're looking at something different, a new horizon. Waiting for things to develop in such a way where you know exactly what path you're going to take. And I say that because of the Hangman. It seems to be like a lot of waiting, a lot of, kind of, it could be this, it could be that, while having to deal with all these other things, needing to make a decision here, but you keep it in play. But this may have been like a really profound thing that you were dealing with in the past for judgment to be there. Now with the Nine of Swords, absolutely with the Hangman, needing to have a different perspective, needing to make a decision about the balancing act that you're doing with the Two of Pentacles, and then being aware that there may be other things available to you. And travel, it's all over the place. It's like you need to, if even for like a weekend, go somewhere. It's almost like you need a different environment. That's what I want to say. You need to be in a different environment, because the thing is if you're going through the judgment moment where you're having to review this situation in a way for you to move above it, it had to take a huge wake-up call. And if you're still in that situation while going through that, it's like going through a painful situation in the middle of having an awakening. It may be that you need to go take a minute somewhere else, like a different scenery, so that you can gain a different perspective on the things that trigger those thoughts. Because they're still active within you with that Two of Pentacles. That's what I feel like. You're constantly walking the tightrope between the new information that you've gained with judgment and the old that's still lingering. Confidence with the Queen of Wands, absolutely. Clarity, again, truth. And communication. So being confident in your ability to clearly communicate what is going on with you emotionally, especially. And I say that because of this whole Nine of Wands and Queen of Cups thing. But I know the feeling. Like, I have the information and I know how to integrate it with judgment. But my feelings are still very important and sensitive at the moment. Narrow pathway, tread thoughtfully. And then surrendering to the journey, release control. What will be, will be. The only thing you can do is just accept things as they are. And once you do that, it frees up so much garbage within us that it makes choices easier to make because they're so much more clear. But the narrow pathway, I look at this as the middle way, the middle path. Don't get emotionally pulled or passionately triggered, right? Just stay on the path that you want to see for yourself. What is the Queen of Wands to you? What does she look like? And that doesn't matter if you're male, female, whatever. As a human being, if you're looking at the Queen of Wands and you're looking at all the things that she represents, how does that translate into your reflection of yourself? Wow, man, this one was deep for me. I do think that you're going to be the one facilitating this death and change, though. And it does. It very much... If you're turning into the Queen of Wands, you're doing it in fashion, let me tell you. But be careful about the things that emotionally trigger you. And I do think that if you want things to go in a more controlled direction for you, you may want to look at different horizons, different environments, and possibly making a different choice